past weekend, so we'll see what happens. Had a beautiful fountain with a garden and a cherub on top, and they just took it. I haven't heard any complaints from them. The kids haven't said anything since it's been in this past weekend. We had 6 violators, but they're the first ones we had in, say, a month.
When it's not even a holiday weekend, or maybe right before Labor Day I could see it, but not now.
Gas prices are on the rise. Today, the price of gasoline in the Twin Ports jumped nearly 6 cents per gallon at most area stations. But the jump in price did not come without some warning. Ever since Memorial Day weekend, the price of gasoline has been steadily increasing. Most people haven't noticed the increase in gas prices over the past month, but it's hard not to notice a 6-cent increase. And now that people have noticed, they want to know why. The answer to that question depends on who you talk to.
I think the oil companies are just charging more, and that's all there is to it. It seems like price goes up with demand.
Superior gas station owner Tom Cosgrove says summertime is big business for oil companies. High travel means a high demand for gasoline. Still, others believe there is more behind the price hike.
There's a political turmoil in Nigeria, and I know on that news the oil prices have risen.
Both theories have merit. Financial analysts say the price of crude oil has jumped from $14 a barrel this April to nearly $21 today. That translates into a 15-cent a gallon increase to local gas station owners, an increase being passed on to consumers.
You're fighting it all the time, you know, and we're the whipping posts, you know. We get it because we're the guys that give them the gas, and people first thing, you know, if a person sees something that's more expensive, they say, hey, what's the deal?
And the questions will likely persist. Now, in its 5th week, the Nigerian strike has pushed world oil prices to the highest level in more than a year. Should the situation overseas continue to worsen, Northland industry analysts say prices at the pump could go even higher. In the Twin Ports, Stephanie Guadian, News 6.
Either usually the mayor or his representative. And the way that that's paid for is the sister city men from those festivals go to help take care of our Duluthians in Duluthians' homes. And we go out and solicit donations. So the volunteers are out asking the different companies in Duluth to help donate things so that there's no cost to the city as far as a tax roll whatsoever. All of those costs are absorbed through the volunteers, which is a real wonderful part of the program.
Debate what type of health care reforms need to go into place.
Well,
we're here to make sure that people
keep the government out of it,
giving input into those reforms. And
Here to make sure that when people do get out of college, they're able to find a full-time job and a part-time job that gives them all the health care benefits they deserve.
I know the organization knows that I will not take any political action committee money, so I've requested that they donate that money to charity. And I'd like to also challenge the other candidates for the United States Senate to refuse special interest in PAC money.
We are very excited at the prospects of Duluth.
For the first time since 1965, a new television station will greet viewers in the Twin Ports area. KNLD, or Northland 21, will begin broadcasting sometime next month.
I think the community will be excited to have the availability of the programming that we're going to bring to the market. There are many, many markets around the country with more than the 3 traditional network affiliates, and people are very excited about the new fall programming.
A network affiliate has not yet been chosen, but officials at Northland 21 say they are close to a deal with Fox. Fox is known for its programming targeting the X generation with monster hits like Beverly Hills, 90210, and The Simpsons.
And we are in negotiations with Fox currently for the Fox schedule. I was at the Fox affiliates meeting in Los Angeles recently, and the fall lineup for Fox is exciting. Fox is moving their demographics just a little older.
The station has a transmitter and antenna already in place on Duluth's Tower Hill. In its initial phase, Northland 21 will only reach 75% of the Duluth Superior viewing area. Cities such as Hibbing, International Falls, and Ashland won't receive it. However, a strategic plan is already in place to increase power to reach those areas by late 1995 or early 1996. In Duluth, John Jetta, News 6.
To the far left, of course, is Chief Doyle Barker from the Police Department, Dave Liner. One of the other additional features is that
this response is going to control that situation. We believe we're going to keep the coolers out, and only people who have wristbands will be permitted to drink outside the establishments, and obviously only people who are of legal age will be able to drink inside. So hopefully that will, families will be able to go out and enjoy this event. No, not more. As a matter of fact,
that to the public at home, because sometimes they can leave when we quit, so we're 5-minute recess and reconvene for a committee of the whole meeting. Is that Superior and Duluth is an island of high gas prices and a sea of low gas prices, and it's not only just in the summertime, and it's year-round, and this has been investigated before with no conclusion.
For months, Northlanders have witnessed the terrorism, epidemics, and death plaguing the people of Rwanda. Today, 2 Northland residents announced they'll take action to help alleviate the suffering.
That we felt by taking action, we're channeling our concern and that energy of concern of people in the Northland here to make some, even if very small, impact on another part of the world.
Patricia Shida and Zuni Magose will deliver 900 pounds of children's clothing, medical supplies, food supplements, and blankets donated by area residents and businesses to orphanages. Although Rwandan refugees are leaving neighboring countries to return home, there is no guarantee of peace, and many fear a resurgence of violence.
So we're not concerned about the project. What we are concerned is about the children and people who really need help.
Shida is a former Peace Corps volunteer who works for the Duluth Clinic. Magose is a musician in the United States and Kenya. In addition to relief supplies, they will carry letters from Northland children to the Rwandan orphans. The Duluth Clinic and St. Mary's Medical Center contributed a portion of the shipping cost for the relief supplies. They're hoping Northlanders will contribute even more. Derek Hines, News 6.
Actually, I think there's a good chance that we're going to break ground sometime this fall, and that's really good news. It's not just good news for Duluth, it's good news for the entire state of Minnesota because it really anchors Northwest Airlines in Minnesota.
TV has a lot to do with it.
Well, but you see now,
Violence
my
on
family
TV.
now.
Controversy, they brought it on themselves so they can get people to go to it. Dave said it's very difficult to prove any kind of collusion or price fixing, but past investigations, they haven't actually had somebody come to Duluth and have an office in Duluth for any period of time and allow people to come and visit or to call.
Second major thing that influences our gasoline road mill
concerns, that they do an environmental worksheet, assessment worksheet. I think that's important if there are environmental concerns. I think it's important for developers when they come in that they have a very clear process that they can follow, and if they can't fulfill environmental concerns and needs, then they ought not be here.
UTU workers are picketing Sioux Line railroads daily for better wages. There hasn't been an increase in pay for over 6 years. But by striking, now there's no paycheck at all.
There is assistance out there for strikers. Other unions have been donating to an international fund, and so far over 25 families have called on that fund needing financial assistance. But after 26 weeks, that money will run out.
Experts say the most important thing to remember in a time of job loss or layoff is to have a specific direction or plan and keep motivated.
If they are active from the first day of unemployment, if they have a plan, they know they're going to become unemployed either permanently or for an amount of time from a company, then they need to have a plan on what they're going to do during that period of time.
Right now, railroad employees pay out 13% of their wages to a railroad retirement fund.
With that, they say financially they're getting by. But without information coming out of negotiations today, it's hard to tell how long the strike will last. In Duluth, Molly McMillan, News 6.
Passionate heart, the question they must ask. Sign responsibility. I've watched. Irv knew that both good and evil exist in our world, and he made a choice to dedicate his life to enhancing the good and eliminating the evil. Deputy Clemens. In this park, they serve each day to the older, better world to build. What? May their memory stand forever as one who went down.
I'm sure she was excited to get home to her friends and stuff, you know, and she's generally a happy person. That's why I don't think she would do anything stupid, you know.
Emily Severson last heard from her best friend, Malia Stromquist, just 2 days before she vanished. Haunting postcards from Malia offer no clues on her disappearance. Instead, they paint a portrait of an excited teenager anxious to return home.
I would never expect that of Malia. Never expected.
Friends and family are convinced she did not run away. Malia was last seen leaving her grandmother's home in Monterey, California, where she had been visiting with her sister for 3 weeks. Last Wednesday, Malia packed some swimming gear and headed for the beach. She has not been seen or heard from since.
Malia, we're leaving. We've left for California to get to your grandparents' house. We'll be in at 6 o'clock Thursday night. Leave a message here. Please call your other grandparents at 525-3487 collect. We're all very worried about you. Please call.
After leaving this message on the answering machine, Malia's parents did fly to Monterey, where they're now searching for their daughter. They are not alone. The Polly Klaas Foundation, along with both the Monterey and Duluth police departments, are also working on the case. But so far, they've come up empty.
They did do searches of the entire area starting last Wednesday evening. And they've come up with no leads. They've found none of the items that Malia had taken from the family home in Monterey.
Time is working against the searchers. They know if something is wrong, the sooner they find Malia, the better.
I hope she's okay. And if she's still alive, I hope she can get out of whatever she's in and come home. 'Cause I miss her. Everybody misses her.
In Duluth, Stephanie Guadian, News 6.
Thank you very much.
It's one of the most highly toured areas, okay, up to two harbors, up the lakeshore that are...
Responsibility. As governor, I intend to address the problems of Lake Superior on a statewide basis, as we did with Minneapolis and St. Paul and Red Wing, and recognize Lake Superior as a statewide resource and not just a local problem.
It's a regressive tax. People have to buy clothing. Families have to buy clothing for their children. It's inappropriate, and I oppose it.
What Mike Hatch is once again doing is taking little things here and there that he's heard and making them a big deal. But Tony Bose, if you followed anything from what we're talking about, we're not raising taxes in Minnesota. He believes very strongly against that.
Has a plan for her life, and there's 35 million that never had that opportunity.
I think this is a tremendous victory. As far as I know, this is the first pro-life injunction case that has come down since the Madsen Supreme Court decision, and it's been in the favor of pro-life people, and it's shown that if as Christians we will stand up for what's right, there's a God on our side that will still protect us no matter what the laws of the land are.
But they want somebody that's fighting for them, fighting for a good deal for their taxes, and somebody that's going to make sure everything's on the up and up at the local level.
For the working people for auditor, right here.
That's right.
Jen.
Prevailing wage.
There you go. Prevailing wage. Carrie and I were just trying to watch the injury. Stayed out there and help us on a job up there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Something going on right now?
Yeah.
In fact, the only thing district officials have said is that no lawsuits have been filed as yet, leading us to believe the district is expecting charges of some sort. However, district officials say they can't talk about the situation because of the Data Privacy Act, which prevents discussion of personnel issues. There's been a good deal of speculation about why the board feels a need to discuss Messenberg, but board members say none of what has been said so far is the real issue. One thing we know for sure about tonight's meeting is that the board will talk about the candidates for superintendent. So far, 23 people have applied for the post. 7 of those candidates are from Duluth. Our sources say Dick Messenberg is among them. The school district has been without a superintendent since August 1st when Reginald Nolan resigned. Messenberg and board liaison Mary Stafford have been helping to run the district since then.
In your mind then?
Well, we're hoping that this, you know, we're trying to leave the benefit of the doubt that it isn't politically motivated, but it's tough to say that it's not when you consider there are other buildings in this office complex, and it was targeted for the Thompson campaign.
To occur naturally. It's going to take some time, obviously, but it's going to take some time back to the way they were.
Did I pronounce? I just can't remember my name. It's Brian. We're out at the boundary areas at Four Corners. Now that other people go to country schools, that's why we live in the country. We fully realize that at some point change anything as far as that driving one way or another, but our children have to.
Definitely, Grace G.
Don't forget my letter, dated October 3rd. Second of all, I'd like to say that I support
on this, and it's just going to be a real hard decision to make.
Yes.
Democrats that they've got a moderate Democrat in.
My message to the voters out there is that if you're concerned with the deficit, you better ask whether it's N191, myself, or Rod Grams, what their plan is to doing about it, and hold their feet to the fire.
One of the things lost in the confusion of the Haitian military dictatorship was a steady supply of fuel, and the people of that besieged country were forced to the hills, wiping out Haitian forests. Enter Fiber Fuels from northern Minnesota.
We're here to work with the private sector to see if there's a way to take advantage of this opportunity.
For a number of years, Duluth port officials have been looking for places to market compressed wood logs and pellets. Congressman Jim Oberstar sees Haiti as the perfect market because Haiti already uses charcoal fuel made from wood.
Fiber fuel, a compressed wood pellet, has the same fuel content as charcoal, can be manufactured here in northern Minnesota, exported to Haiti in bulk or packaged manner, distributed through the existing charcoal distribution system.
Oberstar envisions a Northland plant shipping through the port of Duluth to Haiti. Compressed wood pellets are the perfect combination for Northland export, an abundant product creating jobs in the manufacturing process as well as jobs in shipping. But port officials are cautious because they have been unsuccessful at marketing this type of wood in the past.
If all of the right things happen, there certainly seems to be a willingness, based on what Mr. Oberstar is saying, in terms of the Haitian government looking at this thing favorably. It seems like it would do the right things from their standpoint. The Clinton administration, including the president himself, has shown an interest in it.
Oberstar hopes to get the Agency for International Development to embrace the idea of wood exports from Duluth to Haiti. Dave Jench, News 6.
I don't know if he didn't see the train or didn't hear it or what, but he did collide with the train, which threw the machine down into where it's sitting now.
Bill Hazelton's artwork is perhaps one of the Northland's best-kept secrets. Hazelton has created thousands of original drawings and paintings during his lifetime. Without any formal art training, he just visualizes a subject, then transfers that image down on paper. Most of Hazelton's art pieces are in the form of sketches. He does everything from cartoons to wildlife, even portraits.
Would you say there's a slight resemblance there?
The tools Hazelton uses are just as original as his artwork. He's found that some everyday household items can double as fine artistic instruments.
I'll take a book of matches and tear all the matches out of the book and edge them on a 45-degree angle. And this is what I use to get all the fine detailed shading with. And I'll take a roll of toilet paper, tear off a piece, cone it, tape it, and cut it like I would a match. And that helps me a little on the white areas.
You'd never know it by looking at his artwork, but Hazelton doesn't have the luxury of expensive art supplies. In fact, there's been times in his life when he's been without food or even a warm place to sleep. Right now, Hazelton says he's fortunate because he has a friendly home at the Union Gospel Mission.
These people here have done a lot for people. If that dining room wasn't downstairs, a lot of people I know are sleeping out underneath the bridge in the weeds and the bushes or whatever, and looking forward to coming down here.
Hazelton wants to begin a fundraising program through the sales of his drawings. He says then he'll have the chance to share his artwork with others and give less fortunate people something to smile about.
If I am sincere in what I'm trying to accomplish, I'll succeed.
Twin girls Natasha and Felicia Schlafer are starting to live normal 6-year-old lives again, playing soccer, losing their baby teeth, enjoying the outdoors. The twins' foster parents, Candy Geary and Lance Ricard, say their family has been filled with joy since the girls' homecoming this summer. But news of the girls' grandmother, Phyllis Duracek, being in Duluth has made Geary and Ricard uneasy.
We don't know why she's here. There's nothing really that she could do here that she couldn't do over the phone, you know, if she's trying to contact people, or, you know, that's the thing that makes us really concerned. We're not sure what her motives are or what she's up to.
Duracek, who lives in Houston, Texas, took the girls into hiding after she lost custody of Felicia and Natasha. Candy Geary says the twins are afraid of the same thing happening again.
They live with fear in their hearts every day. Almost every day one of them brings up something to us like, you know, we better hide. Are you stronger than Mima? Does Mima know where we go to school? They're really afraid of being taken again. And they shouldn't have to live like that, and we shouldn't have to live like that.
Lance Ricard says his family has reason to be concerned because they've recently been bombarded with harassment.
And we've been told that our house is being watched continually. There have been attempts at tampering with our mail and phone harassment, both in the form of threatening phone calls and then also hang-up phone calls that have just, you know, come perpetually.
Ricard says the hang-up phone calls were traced to a West Duluth hotel where Duracek was staying and has since checked out. Channel 6 News has also obtained pleas sent by Duracek and her supporters to local churches, asking for help to get the girls back with Duracek. Despite fears of having Duracek close by, Geary and Ricard say they're not going to let it upset them. They say their toughest days with the girls are far better than life without them.
At night when we put the girls to bed and read them their stories and tuck them in, you know, we still sit in there and after they've fallen asleep and just listen to them breathe and really just, you know, thank the heavens that they are home.
In Duluth, Gina Katzmark, News 6.
talk is now. If we don't hear from them in a meaningful way in the next 24 hours, we start the lawsuit.
That about sums up the latest chapter in the John Fido portion of the Book of Hibbing Politics. The former city administrator wants his job back, and his union, the Minnesota Professional Managers Association, thinks he deserves to get it back. The problem is that nobody will listen.
We've taken every step to invite some kind of dialogue, and the response that we have met with is nothing short of a brick wall.
What they want is for Hibbing Mayor Ron Dicklich and the City Council to negotiate a possible return for Fido. Dicklich has other ideas.
You know, the council has acted on that, and he's been terminated.
In fact, the council has acted on more, approving a temporary replacement for Fido today. And they've also opened a search for a permanent one. Comments from Mayor Dicklich concerning Fido's replacement, Wade Dahlke, may also end up in court. Fido has threatened a defamation suit against Dicklich for, among other things, saying the new administrator has integrity and honesty, something the position needs.
Mayor Dicklich is defaming Mr. Fido yet again.
Oh, that's too bad Mr. Fido took that personally. He must have some guilt. I didn't mean that to insinuate about Mr. Fido. I just was claiming about the qualities that Mr. Dahlke had.
Meanwhile, Fido says he only wants his job back.
Again, this is my home. We're raising our family here. We want to stay here. We've made a commitment here, as have, you know, the rest of the employees. And, you know, for us, that's worth fighting for.
If there's no response from the city of Hibbing by tomorrow, plans for litigation will proceed. Damages sought will exceed $50,000. But regardless of the outcome, Hibbing taxpayers will once again be forced to foot the legal bill. In Hibbing, Ted Rowlands, News 6.
We don't, and it's probably a combination of Lloyd when we set the
which doesn't allow them to do it anymore. And so if you're on that side of Park Point,
what we can be putting into the lake. I think before there were less strict standards.
5,000 people here now. And I think we did have 106 at one time.
in the city of Duluth, it is something in the neighborhood express whatever opinions they have about the problem and what the solutions might be, and
Well, sure, it'll help. It'll help the neighborhoods in the long run, and I think that's important, because generally I expect a lot of the projects that are going to be done are going to be geared toward families and towards children, and that's been one of the goals of my administration is.
And they're trying to tell people not to smoke because it's bad for your lungs and mostly bad for you.
Earlier today, I spoke with John Aho of the Pollution Control Agency. He says the mobile gas station here hasn't been ruled out as the source.
In fact, some of the samples we have might show that some of it may be old product, but then other samples indicate pretty fresh products. So we may have a mixture, actually, and that doesn't surprise me. This is not uncommon in areas where there have been tanks for decades.
If the MPCA traces the problem to old abandoned tanks or lines, former business owners could be held accountable.
Yes, we'll go back and find owners of the tanks, and if it's the tank, and we'll try to get them to do it. Now, some of them may be out of business, bankrupt, long gone, but we definitely make a strong effort to find a responsible party.
Now and next Monday, hopefully, will be only those.
Last minute from MAC and from Knudsen BCA appeal at 6:30 on Monday.
I'm sure was the same as what was referred to on this chart.
Of the employment covenant. Yep.
Right.
Airlines. Matter of fact, another document just came over the fax at 7 o'clock, and that's totally unacceptable. But it's not us. And I need to make sure that everybody understands that it's happening down below.
Just information that he told us during his interviews with the investigators. He admitted things that that the media had not.
Belknap Street. Earlier this evening, it went up in flames. Hundreds of spectators watched as they saw this church go up. The church was moved here in 1914, and it was originally built in the north end of town, and it's 108 years old. Now, I spoke with Pastor Steve Starseth earlier today, and he said that it's definitely a loss to the congregation, but they're looking to the future with optimism. Now, Molly, there's no word right now on how the fire started, and you can see there's still crews on the scene trying to contain the blaze. Back to you. Well, talking to Pastor Steve, he said that people are going to meet at his house for worship in the morning, and his house is a block away from here. He doesn't live in the parsonage, but what he did say is that they had Sunday school in the parsonage and kept records there, and they were able to save some of those things earlier today, but his family's house is okay. Back to you.
I recommend that the City Council support this resolution.
Yes.
Councilor Downs?
Yes.
Councilor Hardesty?
Yes.
Councilor Keenan?
Yes.
Councilor Bretner?
Yes.
Councilor Wheeler?
Yes.
President Talarico?
Yes.
Passes 8-1.
Thank you. I believe that concludes the special meeting of the Duluth City Council at this time. If there are no further closing comments,
I close the special council meeting, and in 5 minutes we will read.
It's called Powerball, and lottery officials estimate that tonight's ticket sales will peak at 100 per second. With tomorrow's giveaway currently set at $95 million, it's not that hard to see why. The interesting thing is to see how, and the best place to do this is Denfeld Super Value, the top-selling lottery retailer in all of St. Louis County.
People pick their birthdays, they pick their license plate, they pick their address, ages of their children, their anniversaries, anything.
If you think your chances are slim, talk to Dwayne Peterson of Moose Lake. Just this past March, he won $2 million. In fact, not many people realize that purchasing one ticket will give you a 1 in 35 chance of winning a prize. Most people get caught up in the odds of winning the big prize, which is 1 in 55 million. For some, this can lead to despair.
Sometimes the losers don't come back and buy tickets, but they'll come. When the jackpot is this high, we will definitely see a lot of our customers come back.
For others, it means you have to increase your odds.
Yesterday I had a man come in and he bought 142 tickets.
Along with the sizable jackpot of the Powerball game comes some sizable Minnesota statistics. For instance, it's called Powerball, and lottery officials estimate that tonight's ticket sales will peak at 100 per second. With tonight's giveaway currently set at $95 million, it's not that hard to see why. The interesting thing is to see how, and the best place to do this is Denfeld Super Value, the top-selling lottery retailer in all of St. Louis County.
People pick their birthdays, they pick their license plate, they pick their address, ages of their children, their anniversaries, anything.
If you think your chances are slim, talk to Dwayne Peterson of Moose Lake. Just this past March, he won $2 million. In fact, not many people realize that purchasing one ticket will give you a 1 in 35 chance of winning a prize. Most people get caught up in the odds of winning the big prize, which is 1 in 55 million. For some, this can lead to despair.
Sometimes the losers don't come back and buy tickets, but they'll come. When the jackpot is this high, we will definitely see a lot of our customers come back.
For others, it means you have to increase your odds.
Yesterday I had a man come in and he bought 142 tickets.
Along with the sizable jackpot of the Powerball game comes some sizable Minnesota statistics. For instance, more than 1,600 Minnesota retailers sell Powerball tickets. You may be surprised to know that each retailer is rewarded with a 5% commission on ticket sales. Nearly $200 million in Powerball tickets have been sold since its inception on April 12, 1992. And of the 5.6 million Minnesota winners, nearly 200 have cashed in on the $100,000 prize, and 4 have won the jackpot.
That lady that had the $100,000 winner here in last April had the Powerball, and she changed it. She would have won $22 million at that drawing.
The $95 million prize translates into $3 million per year, $58,000 per week, or $5.78 per minute. Of course, this is after taxes. In Duluth, John Jetta, News 6.
Well, a friend of ours from Lake Nemacolin, close to the cable area, called and said that she had heard my name mentioned on Channel 6 News, so I was really excited about that.
Sometime prior to Saturday, November 12th, a family near Piedmont Avenue and 6th Street in Duluth had their storage shed broken into. The thief found their shed locked but used some sort of prying tool to break through the back wall. He took 2 snowboards that were valued over $1,100. There are several other homes in this isolated area, but only the one was burglarized. It could have been a random burglary, or someone may have known where the equipment was stored. Do you have any idea who did this? Crime Stoppers could pay you up to $1,000 if we catch this crook, or get the ski equipment back. We don't ask any questions about you, so you remain anonymous. We also encourage you to call us if you have any questions about how the program works. Our telephone numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH if you live near Duluth.
You've been mine so long.
I think the major points are they waived the rent for next year, and they're giving us $3,000 of marketing money through the Duluth Convention and Visitors Bureau. And a written agreement saying the park is going to be suitable to use.
This is the finance department in question. The biggest complaint here is that there are just 5 people doing the jobs of many more. But acting Hibbing Mayor Ron Dicklich says it's a management problem, and the blame should go to outgoing city administrator John Fido.
Yeah, if you look in the contract and the ordinance, the city administrator's job is to run the city.
But former city administrator John Fido has a different story. In a telephone interview today, Fido said that he tried to get the city of Hibbing to change the way it does business, but was met with resistance by the city council. Fido says, quote, "I was told this is how we do business in Hibbing. I tried to get them to change, and they refused."
But no matter who is to blame, the auditor's findings are substantial. An accountant within the finance department was given an unreasonable amount of duties, which should have been divided up among several people. Failure to deposit funds on a timely basis cost the city interest, earnings, and put funds at risk. The city paid more than $28,000 in interest and penalties. A review of travel expenses revealed inadequate documentation to support payment. The city paid unauthorized legal fees of more than $17,000 to defend former Mayor Jim Collins and other councilors accused of violating the Open Meetings Act. And unauthorized individuals had access to an unsecured vault in the finance department.
And the item in question was this vault. Right. And as you can see, the door is open and remains open. And there's a reason for that, is that staff needs to have access to all of the information that's located in this vault.
Right. Dave Talbot works within the finance department. He says other than that charge, many of the auditor's findings are based in truth. And Dicklich sees this as a chance for the city to learn from the experience and become better as a result.
And that this is the beginning of our future. I mean, this is our chance to start. We know the problems are and all, straighten them all, and forget about all the politics and the fighting. Those things are gone. The people that were here when all this fell apart are no longer part of the city council or the city administration.
In Hibbing, Bill Lunn, News 6.
Some city council members found out by watching our report last night, and they say they're very upset because they've been kept in the dark about a significant detail of the Bayfront Mall project.
It's kind of a little slap in the face when you find out in the media before anybody, and you're on DEDA commission, and you find out through the media that Horizon was not part of the picture and the funding mechanisms are not in place. That's disappointing. I was going along thinking that all those were in place.
Who do you blame for this? I'm not saying we're pointing fingers or anything, but who should have informed you?
Well, obviously, if the mayor knew, I think he should have informed us, and I also think that Carl Novenberger should have informed us.
And I'm from Lincoln Junior High, and I would like to present this t-shirt to Mayor Gary Doty that was designed by our group.
Patient about gambling problems. The goals of the adult component of the Minnesota Council on. And so
we're looking to them to tell us really what works with people that age, with young people that age. Messages from adults to young people that age isn't nearly as effective as when it's more of a one-to-one presentation.
As Cheryl Schultz lay dead inside her home beside her abusive husband, her stepmother and father stood outside grieving and asking how this could have happened.
God, she's done everything. She's signed a book. She's got a restraining order. She's called police.
Neighbors say Monty and Cheryl had been in an abusive relationship for years. They say Monty regularly yelled at Cheryl and often beat her at home and in public. One time they say he even threw a television set at her head, leaving a scar on her face. Friends and neighbors knew about the abuse, but didn't know what they could do to help.
I heard that too. Last week I heard him on the scanner, or he was out at Silver Star and got in an argument with her out there.
It was because of the abuse and Cheryl's concern for the couple's two daughters that she kicked Monty out of the house and got a court restraining order. But Cheryl's stepmother said it didn't help.
She got a restraining order yesterday finally, but he's been arrested about 4 times in the last month for breaking and entering, trespassing, threatening to kill her. He's gone out to bars and threatened to kill her, and they keep letting him out.
Then yesterday, Cheryl's stepmother heard the chilling news. Monty had a gun.
You go do everything by the book, and you don't have any protection. It's not right. I heard yesterday he had a gun.
Today was the couple's last fight. Police say after shooting Cheryl's male friend, Monty took aim at his wife of almost 10 years, shot her dead, then turned the gun on himself. This abusive relationship left 2 little girls orphans. In Superior, Barbara Riles, News 6.
So by all of you participating and all the people in the city participating to brighten up our city, you not only have brightened up our city, but you have brightened up the lives of others in our community who aren't as fortunate as we. People who can't be as happy at Christmas time as we are because they perhaps don't have the proper shelter that they need, or don't have the food, and they don't have the
TV tonight. 2 shots.
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
He's a pretty neat little guy. For the longest time, you and Tim, you know, we were detail, and we kept hearing these different stories.
They say Christmas is a time to remember. Anyone remember Christmas last year? Winter sports were thriving. 14 inches of snow was on the ground, and it was certainly cold enough to keep the snow. The morning temperature was 22 below zero. By afternoon, the thermometer was reading a balmy 4 above. It's best remembered by weather folk as a typical Christmas.
As a matter of fact, in the past 53 years, there have only been 2 brown Christmases where we haven't had snow on the ground. So the chances of not having snow on the ground are very small. And there is a very small chance that we would have a brown Christmas. So you're probably going to have some snow. Unfortunately, Christmas usually ushers in our very cold temperatures. It's usually the week before or the week after Christmas when we'll start dropping to the 10 to 20 below range.
Not so in 1994. In fact, by Sunday, parts of the Northland will be talking of a brown Christmas, and temperatures in some locations could reach a record 50.
Well, the thing that was so surprising about looking at the records for Christmas is the warmest Christmas on record was a high temperature of 44 degrees. And here at the airport, the warmest it's ever been on Christmas is 34 degrees.
The mild weather is brutalizing outdoor recreation activities. Snowmobile trails have been closed in Douglas County until further notice. Resorts all over the area are receiving cancellations from disheartened snowmobile enthusiasts. Ski lodges are working extra hard to keep the slopes wide, and officials are warning of the dangers of thin ice.
There's so many variables with ice conditions, and this year especially with the late warm fall that we had, and now the warm weather we're having right now, it just hasn't been conducive to building real good ice conditions.
Most of the time, you could mention the words cold snow and Christmas in the same breath. But this year, there won't be any snow, and it won't be cold enough to even see your breath. In Duluth, John Jetta, News 6.
Stop and staring, cannot see their faces, only the shadows of their eyes. I'm going where the sun keeps shining, through that pouring rain. Oh yes, I'm going where the weather suits my clothes.
Service agency moved from next door to the Palace. Palace Theater is falling down. Palace Theater is a bar. Public agencies that want to be in this building. City government is paying too much to be here. The cost of being housed in this building is far, far higher than what it would cost to be in our own building. To this point, Todd Warren's defense has acknowledged that Warren was the shooter, but they focused on two legal principles. The first is that Warren was acting in defense of another. His attorney, Rick Holmstrom, has explained that he was trying to save a woman who testified she was raped at the party. So far, friends of Warren's have testified that Warren's intentions were not to save anyone, but to shoot those responsible for sexual abuse to both that woman and his girlfriend. Todd Warren's best friend testified that Warren, referring to one of the young men he would later shoot, said, "I'm not going to beat him up, I'm going to put a bullet in his head." Also, the woman who testified she was raped said she called Todd Warren a murderer as they drove away together after the shootings. The second defense principle is that Warren acted in the heat of passion, and though that could not get him off the hook, it could get him a reduced charge, such as manslaughter. But witnesses have testified that it took Warren roughly 40 minutes to drive from the party to his home to get the gun and back. Plenty of time, the prosecutor argues, to cool off. 3 young men were shot and killed, according to the medical examiner's testimony. Sam Witherspoon was shot once in the face and died instantly. Peter Moore was shot twice and likely bled to death. And Keith Hermanson was also shot twice, the second shot severing his spinal cord and killing him instantly. But there are still more questions to be answered by the defense's case, which is scheduled to begin on Tuesday. Todd Warren is expected to take the stand in his own defense, and the case could be in the hands of the jury as early as Wednesday afternoon. At the St. Louis County Courthouse, Bill Lund, News 6.
And they've got, in particular, we over the holiday season from Christmas to New Year's experienced a 60% loss of business during that period. At this time, we're seeing about a 20 to 25% decrease.
Wheelchair, and the business has not made the accommodations necessary for that individual. And that we want to make sure that they are open. And there are example after example that we see. The single mother who has children that's denied housing. I've seen it personally. I own or used to own some rental units, and I would have people contact me and say, do you mind if I have children? And I'm a single mother. I said, why would I mind? They said, well, the last place I went, they told me that they would not rent to me.
And I wondered why you are just now decided to do this. This is not nothing that is just a rose in your season.
As I said, brings up all kinds of emotions from all sides of the issue. And I think that this is the most reasonable.
And I've always been interested in it.
My concern is why we have to pay more for 20-gallon can of garbage. We were told by the media that if we had less garbage, we would pay less. Now we are told we have to pay more for less garbage. That doesn't make sense.
I'm here today just to talk about the House perspective, the legislature's perspective on the budget bill.
But overall, the good news for the taxpayers, and this is a taxpayer's budget, the good news for the taxpayers is that state spending will grow 30% less than personal income will grow.
From all indications that I have received, that the victim had a large knife, and it was found on the floor. At least as I understand it now, the initial testing is that there was no prints of any sort by anybody on the knife, which of course doesn't tell you much of anything.
One man down, another on the run. Witnesses say they saw 30...
Right now, the taconite industry does pay in Minnesota a higher tax, a production real estate type tax, than they would in Michigan or in Canada. So that's a consideration, but only part of the total cost of doing business in Minnesota. And those are the kind of things that we'll be discussing later on.
They give it to Natron Means, and he's in for the touchdown behind Steve Hendrickson. First and goal from the 5. Young.
The Governor's Advisory Committee, which Betty George, our executive director, is a member of, has been studying the whole gambling arena since September of 1994, and they're going to be making recommendations to the governor on all facets of gambling. And the feeling of this committee seems to be at this point that there should be a cost-benefit analysis done before there are any changes made to gambling in Minnesota.
In handing down his sentence, Judge Galen Wilson quoted Karl Marx, saying hope is the opiate of the people, and that Todd Warren should have some hope of rehabilitation. Warren could serve 30 years and be released on parole. Wilson cited 5 reasons that made him come to his decision. The judge said it was just one event in the defendant's life. There was nothing previously negative in his life. His youth. He said there was a degree of provocation, and there's hope for redemption for Warren. Warren's family was somewhat relieved.
That's good. I would think that they're not going to be as worried about his sanity. At least they can work with that, saying, you know, there is hope. In 30 years, if you do everything that you're supposed to do, you might be able to get out again.
But prosecutor Mark Rubin appeared furious, and when the judge asked if there was anything he'd omitted, Rubin rose and said, "I think there's a lot you've omitted."
We're extremely disappointed. I have a hard time understanding how the impact on the families and the friends of these 3 men can be considered in the fashion that it was.
Warren could have been sentenced to a maximum of 90 years in prison for the slayings of Sam Witherspoon, Keith Hermanson, and Peter Moore. Before imposing the sentence, Judge Wilson listened to prosecutor Mark Rubin read letters from parents of the victims. From Peter Moore's mother, "My body can no longer feel his warmth being so close. I miss hugging, touching, and kissing him. I have been robbed of the most precious entity on this earth, life." From the father of Keith Hermanson, "The loss of our only child, Keith, has been the tragedy of our lives. It has made me feel my life has been for nothing." And from the mother of Sam Witherspoon, "I cannot begin to explain the pain, anguish, and trauma the death of my son has caused. There are no pain or nerve pills that ease the way my heart aches. Nothing can replace him." It was also revealed that Sam Witherspoon left behind a baby girl born just 4 months after his death. Also today, the issue of race came up during the sentencing hearing. Judge Galen Wilson saying to some people in this courtroom, "I'm just another white judge." Some people might say, "I don't value the lives of African Americans," but the judge assured the gallery that he does. As for Todd Warren, taking into consideration time already served, he could be released from prison as early as March of the year 2024. At the St. Louis County Courthouse, Bill Lund, News 6.
Months in it, and then stick out and say, hey, this is what we can afford, this is what we're going to do.
Down to the unions and do some real bargaining. That would be
because all he's looking for is a promotion. But I got one other question for these people. What happened to the $94,000 Burlington Northern wanted to fill?
Okay, what we'll do is we'll take the question that you asked first, and that was the city manager. What is their position on the city manager? So Sharon, would you?
You're single, but not by choice. For some, meeting Mr. or Ms. Right is easy, but for others, it takes work. Even that first date is cumbersome. After all, there are some tough decisions to make, like whether you will have the free time, the money, a place to go, and, oh yeah, someone to take along.
It used to be that you could meet someone in your neighborhood, someone that your parents knew, but now people go away to college or they go away for a better job, and they're thrust in a neighborhood in which they don't know anyone. And now they have to use different resources to meet someone.
You know, this dating thing would not be a problem, but with Valentine's Day just around the corner, Northland singles will be looking for someone to meet so they have something to do. How about a nightclub?
I would say that that's probably out now. Going to some place where there's drinking and loud noise, loud music is not a good place to meet someone.
Okay, shot me down. What about dating classifieds or a dating service?
Is that it is blind and you don't have the sense of the physical attraction. And
finding a date, it almost takes more energy than the actual dating itself.
Come here Friday night at 7 and we'll do our best to get you unsingle.
I think this is the good part.
We're going to have music, we're going to have door prizes, going to have wine tasting, hors d'oeuvres, and just really make it a fun evening for everybody.
I know it sounds like a date in a nightclub, but hold on, there is more.
What we're going to have you do is to stick a name tag on with a number on it. You're going to also have a second name tag with the same number, but on that one you're going to write a brief personal ad. You're going to stick that up on what we're calling the wall of possibilities. It's going to be over in this area somewhere. That way people get a chance to kind of shop the wall. It's going to be like a giant classified section.
Come Friday, singles from throughout the Northland will gather for what is being billed as the area's largest blind date. Miss this, and you could be left in the cold for Valentine's Day. In Duluth, Georgetta, News 6.
Pull it off of this year's agenda, and they are considering happiness. I also think that we have a basic right in this country.
We would hope that the Federal Environmental Protection Agency may take some supervision in this situation and try to come to some ultimate solution to this.
Yeah, can you hang on? This is for you, Ray. That's just 901.
Or they learn the next step. And usually the employee is in a probationary status and in training for 12 months in St. Louis County. The first 6 months is on the job, pretty intense, and learning the process piece by piece. The last 6 months is learning the various positions.
You can be guaranteed the maximum would be given.
That's right. That's right.
So, that's how I see it. Nothing to show.
Do you know any specifics about the investigation that you think?
I believe that the release of one of the perpetrators it's totally unacceptable to us.
But one of the biggest features that we've gained on this unit is its safety features. It has a lot more built into it because of new standards. This unit has what they call a 500-pound tip capacity, which allows us, rather than putting one firefighter at the end of it, allows us to work with 2 firefighters on the end of it, and yet still be able to flow water, which is quite an improvement over our old rig.
They helped me decide that as mayor I could make a difference.
My name is Pete Moran, and I, too, am a candidate for mayor of the city of Superior.
We have to stop the big spender attitude in Superior. As the taxpayers, I think, are sick and tired of it. We cannot afford it anymore. These are very crucial times in Superior.
I voted no to property tax increase. We set a goal. With airport to bring in aircraft.
Designer, the runway has a design that will enhance the safety. Granted, it will change the flight patterns, and many people are concerned about that, and I share that concern. The ideal situation, of course, is to move the airport. But they're just electorate to take a look very, very closely at the credentials of the individuals who are running and determine who has what it takes to get the job done. Thank you very much.
Kind of as an overview, I have been punched, kicked, I've been urinated on, I've been spit on, I've had things thrown at me, I've been called every name that I could even imagine, and some that I don't even want to imagine, and faggot, queer, words that I won't even say.
Jamie Nabozny says his school years in Ashland were filled with terror. He says he was repeatedly abused and harassed by his classmates because he's gay, and school administrators did nothing to stop it.
I'm very angry. They weren't ignorant or intolerant. They were blatantly malice to let this stuff happen to me on a daily basis. And there's no reason for that.
Jamie says the most painful memory of his high school years was when 3 classmates pushed him down in the boys' bathroom, and one of them urinated on him.
Being urinated on, I think, is one of the most humiliating experiences that I've ever had happen in my life. And I felt worse than an animal. I mean, it was so degrading and so humiliating. Because the physical pain goes away, but them kind of scars never will heal.
In a lawsuit against several Ashland school administrators, Jamie is asking for a diploma, the opportunity to participate in a graduation ceremony, and $350,000 in damages.
I think that our society is making an outcry that this type of thing is not going to be tolerated anymore. Unfortunately, and I think it speaks sadly for school districts across the country, more and more cases like this are coming to the front.
And that something needs to be done to make sure that this doesn't happen to anyone else.
In Minneapolis, Gina Katzmark, News 6.
Can you tell me if you were face to face with any of the kids that did these horrifying things to you, if you could look them straight in the eye right now today after
A West Duluth church was broken into on the night of Friday, January 27th. At least 2 burglars got into the church through a window in the gymnasium and dropped to the floor. They searched the building, looking through cabinets and drawers. They stole a tape player, speakers, microphones, and a flag out of the sanctuary. They also stole a Packard Bell computer and a laser printer from the church office. The pastor's study was next, but the burglars weren't content to just steal from him. They broke the glass on his desk and smashed his banjo. The total loss was over $16,000. Help us solve this crime, or any crime you have information on. We'll give you up to $1,000 for your help, and keep your name a secret. Call us at 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH.
Anyone that says that there aren't dangerous chemicals in those barrels is either being dishonest or doesn't know the facts, because I have a letter from the Army Corps that describes what toxins were found in those barrels that they researched. I'll give you a copy of it before you leave. It says cadmium, benzene, PCBs. It describes what was found in the barrels.